Hi everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's nice to be here. It's the first time I'm joining this conference. So I will start by introducing myself. My name is Moritz Klack. I'm a web developer from Berlin, and I'm working with journalists for 4 years now. And 2 years ago I co-founded an agency called WebKit. And we are working with several media outlets in Germany and Switzerland, and we are doing data visualizations, long reads, like these kind of projects. And our biggest customer is the Berliner Morgenpost, and we are also part of the interactive team of the Berliner Morgenpost. So every day one of us is there in the newsroom, and today I will give you some insights how we work there. So it's not a talk about my agency, but about the work of the interactive team of the Berliner Morgenpost, and I will present some projects and explain features that engage people to stay with your data, to share your projects, and yeah, that's my talk. Okay, I will start by introducing the team, because I think it's interesting for you how we work and how we are able to create all these projects. So this is our team right now. We started this year. Before that it was more me and one data journalist, but now we have 2 data journalists, 1 video journalist, 1 designer and 1 coder. So we are actually 2 coders, but there's only 1 coder there every day. And then depending on the topic, of course, we are working with other journalists together. For example, we are doing a project about rents. Then there is a specialist who knows everything about rent prices in Berlin, so we are working closely with him together. And we are sitting in the middle of the newsroom, which is very important, I think, because the ways of communications are very short, and while we are creating a project, everyone sees it, and we are getting feedback while we're creating something. And I think this is very important, because when you're doing something and you're working on a great project, and then at the end you ask your colleagues, what do you think about it? And they say, oh no, you can't do this and you can't that. You have to do it all again, or you just leave it like that, and that's not how it works. So getting feedback while you're doing something is very important, especially from your colleagues and from your friends and whoever's going to use your actual project. So what is nice in our work is that we have all the freedom we need. So we are not working with the CMS there. We decided like 1 year ago that we are not working with the CMS anymore, because we can do projects a lot of faster, developing them in our own little wrapper. So we are publishing new websites when we are doing projects, so that we are not forced to work with these old slow CMS system. And we are also free in choosing our topics and technologies we want to work on. So we are reporting directly to the CEO, and there's no one between us. So we are really free to do whatever we want, more or less. Of course, there are some dates where we have to come up with a certain project, but generally we are free in what we are doing. So we are not. There's no daily business we have to do. So yeah, to say it with a tweet, I've never wanted to be in a gang more than this one. I really like to work in this field, and I really enjoy to work with journalists. It's very interesting for me. We have new topics every day. We can try out new technologies, and for me as a developer, it's really interesting. Yeah, I will start with some basic principles that I think that are important when you're doing data visualizations or projects like this, that you have to keep in mind, because it's important that your users are like to use your application, and that they want to share it and that they talk about it. So I will give you some tips, some hints that I think that are important. So we'll start with the mobile first. It's not just a buzz term. It's really a thing. It's a principle you should be aware of. So when you're doing something these days, it's better when you start with the smallest device and you try to put all the important content on this size, and then you start adding features like nice to haves for the bigger screens, but it's important that you can see all the important content on the smallest device, because around 50% are mobile device users. Depending on the website, of course, there are more or less, but around 50%. So you really have to support these devices, and you need a experience that actually works and that's fun to use. So I listed up 3 pitfalls here that I see often. So, for example, you have a few buttons where you can click on, and these buttons trigger when you swipe your device. And then the user clicks on these buttons, but he just wants to swipe, he just wants to scroll, and that's something you have to be aware of. Another pitfall is that maps and charts can prevent swiping. So I see this very often, that you have a map in a long read, for example, and on a mobile device it takes a lot of space, and then you want to swipe down, you want to read the text, but you are kind of lost in the map, you're panning the map, and there is no way to go to the actual content. So the guys from the NZZ came up with a smart solution. They have a little button now on their maps where you can click on, and you really have to activate it, and then you can deactivate it again, so that you can't get lost in a map, and that it's always possible to scroll your actual application. Another very important thing is that you have to be aware of that. Images, for example, or videos are very big, and people don't want to wait, especially when they're on a mobile device. You're on the way to your work or whatever, and a friend sends you a link, and then you click on it, and then you really want to see the application. You don't want to see the little spinner, and it's very important that the pages load fast. So reduce requests and optimize images. It's a very important task. Another principle is, for me, which is also very important, is the best UI is no UI. So keep it super simple. Try to use as few buttons as possible. The people from the graphics department of the New York Times pointed out that only 20% of their users actually use any buttons at all. So if you're using buttons, this is for the nerds. This is for the people who are really interested in your actual applications, and you have to be aware of. So don't hide your content, show your important content, and don't use tabs or accordions for stuff that is really important. So of course you can use these things, but you have to be aware of that it's only for the few people that are really interested in your project. So to get around this problem, you could, for example, trigger certain events on scroll or on swipe. We had an example where we had a project with 10 charts. I will show it later to you. And in the first version, you had to click on a button to like get to the next chart and get to the next chart and get to the next chart. And then we decided to just put them below each other, which also works, and works better, because then you just have to scroll and you can see everything, and you don't have to find the little button and click on it, because clicking a button is a lot of effort. You have to move the mouse, and you have to find the button, and then you have to click, and you have to be aware of it, that it's not a simple task, actually. So yeah, details on demand. Yeah, that's about the nerd content. Of course, you can put in everything you want in your application, but it's better to show the important content first, and then if someone is really interested, he should get the details. The one sentence rule, yeah, the last principle. So if you can't explain your project in one sentence, it's maybe too complicated. So if you're working on a project and you can't tell your colleagues what it's about in a simple sentence, you may have to think about it. You may have to find another spin for your project, another way to explain it. So keep your project simple, and I think they should work. So now I will present you some projects, and in the last 2.5 years we published around 40 projects in the Berliner Morgenpost interactive team. So I think we have a lot of experience, and we learned a lot in this time, and yeah, I will give you some insights. And I hope I will find the cursor now. Okay, there he is. So this was the very first project I did together with Julius Tröger, who is the data journalist and the kind of leader of our team. So this map shows the winners of each polling place of the federal election in 2013. So, for example, here on the left side, you can see in this neighborhood, the more conservative party, CDU, was the winner. And here the Green Party won. So you have different functionalities here. For example, this one is always crazy one. This is a very right-wing party, and you can filter the top 10 neighborhoods here, and there you can see, okay, in this neighborhood there are the right-wing voters, and you can see it very clearly. And then if you're interested in your neighborhood, you can see every single vote of your neighborhood. So you can see, okay, there are like one vote for the Freie Wähler Party. And this was a really successful project. We got over 22K Facebook shares and a lot of visitors. So, and it was my first project, and I really enjoyed it. And since then, I'm really into these kind of projects, and I want to do more and better stuff like this one. So, the next morning, when we published this project, I mean, every news outlet in Berlin came up with some project, but our project was the most detailed one and the most successful one. So I think when there is an event, everyone is doing something about it, a big project. You have to find something special. I mean, for example, The Guardian now created these little pixel arts for the US election, and I think this is great because this is something you keep in mind, and this is something you may share with your friends. And also this one got shared a lot because people thought, okay, this is so interesting, I want to show it my friends, and all the people in Berlin looked at this map the next morning. So this was a great success. And then there was another fact we wasn't aware of, that this well-known fact is not a well-known fact worldwide. Of course not. People in Berlin know, okay, the western part is voting for the more conservative CDU, and the eastern part is voting for the left party. But people from other countries were very excited about this fact, and so it really went viral internationally. And we made this application, or we finished this application overnight because we got the data at 2 or 3 o'clock at night. So we went to bed at, I don't know, 6 or 7, and then when we woke up, we saw a lot of tweets like this, and we wasn't aware of it, so that people are really excited about this fact. And if we knew it before, we may edit some feature that you can see the wall or something like that. I don't know, but it was interesting to see. Yeah. And they even posted screenshots where they added the wall and stuff like that. So they were really excited about it. So this is a very recent project we did 2 months ago, and it's about the people who live in Berlin but that are not born in Berlin. So about the new Berliners and where they are from. So this is really a topic because in Berlin there are more than 52% are new Berliners, so they are not born in Berlin. So whenever you go to a party or whatever small talk, it's always about rent prices and where you're from. So this was also a very successful project, and I think also because of the topic, because in Berlin it's an interesting topic. So here we not only have a map, but we also have a text where we analyze some important facts, and we have a ranking, and also a little video that shows people who are not from Berlin and would tell, I'm from Italy because of this and because of that. So that's basically the application. And here you can just hover the different cities and see how many people from, for example, Hamburg, 20K people are living in Berlin right now, and you can also, oh yeah, you can also search for your city, and this feature really engaged the people. This feature was the most used feature, and people really use this share function. So here you can see, okay, there are 2,482 people from London in Berlin right now, and it's on rank 96. So this functionality of sharing content that kind of belongs to you really works. So we had at other projects where we put little sharing buttons on each image, on each chart, on each map, and no one used it. So, but this really works. So when you have content that kind of belongs to the user, or it has something to do with the user itself, he is willing to share this kind of content. So we are going to try to find ways to use this kind of share function more often, I think. Yeah. Okay, where am I? Sorry. No. Oh no. Sorry. Okay, Republication. So the Berliner Morgenpost belongs to a group with several media outlets in Germany, with local newspapers. So now whenever we have a project that also works for other publications, we offer them to republicate our projects for them. So the nice thing here is that you only have to write a new text and make a new video, but then you can just, and you also have to get the data, of course, and then you can put it in the wrapper, and you get a nice interactive project. So we did this for Hamburg, Duisburg, Erfurt, and Gera, and it works really nice, and we try to do this more often, so that other media outlets from this group can profit from our work. Yeah. Okay, so the next project I will show you is not a map, but about data we visualized along a famous bus route in Berlin. So Teresa Rentsch came to us to write her master's thesis, and she wanted to visualize data along a certain route. So we started by finding a route which is interesting. So in Berlin there is this very famous M29 bus, which even has its own Facebook page called the Bus from Hell or something like that, because it's always full and it's always late, and when you catch one there are 5 in a row and then you have to wait for half an hour. So yeah, it's that kind of bus. I think everyone knows these buses. So I will get back to this later. So yeah, and the very important thing about this route is that it starts in a very rich part of Berlin, in Grunewald, in the western part, and it ends in an area which is very famous among students. So in a very younger, lively part of Berlin called Neukölln. So yeah, it's very different areas where the bus goes through. So you can see it here, for example. The black line are the more conservative CDU voters that you already saw in the map on the left side. So here are around 50%, and then in Neukölln there are only 9% left. So, and with the left party it's the other way around. So when you see something like that, it's interesting, and you may laugh or you say, oh yeah, that was so clear. Another interesting thing is are the Airbnb flats. So yeah, here's also a video, another video from Neukölln. So these are the R&B flats per 1,000 inhabitants in this area. So as you can see, no one wants to rent a Airbnb flat in Grunewald, but in Neukölln it's very famous and there are a lot of them. Which is also interesting is that this is the income, so people are not earning a lot of money here, but then the rent prices or the changes are very high here. So here we have an increase of 82% of the rents, and here it's even got cheaper, so -1. So it really reveals some interesting facts, I think. So yeah, when we started, we had all these charts, and as I told you before, you had to click a button. So we started by putting them below each other, so that it's easier to reach them actually. And then we showed this to our colleagues, and everyone was like, okay, but how does it look like there? Why are there so many conservative voters, or why are there so many older people or whatever? So we started by adding a Google Street View, little Google Street View window, and it turns out that it was terrible and no one wanted to use it. So then a colleague came up with the idea, why not just filming the whole route? So we put a GoPro inside of the bus, and now you can watch the whole video, which is about 1.5 hours, I think, or you can just go to the station you are interested in. For example, there is Moritz, and then you're in the middle of Kreuzberg, and you can see, okay, how does it look like there? And I think that's an important part of the of this work, because maybe you are not from Berlin, but you want to see how it looks there, so you get a better understanding of the data itself. So that's why we added this video. And I think this was part of the big success of this project, because this is something you keep in mind, this is something you share with your friends. Maybe you're not the type of people who really likes charts, but this is something that maybe touches you and that you keep in mind. So yeah, here's our office on the left side. It's very beautiful there. Okay.
How much time did you spend on a project like that?
Around 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. More 2 weeks, I think, yeah. So yeah, I want to mention this because I think it's really important. When you have a lot of charts and stuff like this, more analytic elements, it's nice to have some faces. So every story needs a face, and these kind of emotional elements are very important, and that's why we always try to add maybe an interview or a video like this one. Here, for example, he's from Neukölln, and he says, oh, the rents are so high, but I want to stay here, and stuff like that. And I think these are very important parts of data-driven projects as well, so that people build up a kind of emotional relationship, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, I see I have some minutes left, so I will show you another project, some backup slides here, which should be here. Yeah, because this was also a feature where a lot of people interacted with, and which really engaged people to work with. So we had to do a project about the 25th anniversary of the German reunification. So 3 journalists traveled through Germany and visited 25 cities and did interviews and videos and wrote text. And as you can imagine, this is a lot of content. It was for print first, so we really have 25 sections of this, so where we have a video and a text and a little 360 view, which isn't loading right now. Oh yeah. So in this we have like 25 times, and it's a lot of content, as you can see. So we were aware of this fact that this was a lot of work, and we thought, okay, we really need to find an element which is so interesting that people want to share this application, and that they keep it in mind. So one colleague came up with this genius idea that you have to draw the border to check how good you remind the border. So here you can now do something like this, and then you see, okay, you forgot the path of the border, and 48%, only 48% were worse than you. And this was again a feature a lot of people used here. So this was the one the people shared and people used, and people tell their friends. So did you already draw the wall and yeah, the border? So this is a nice example of how you can engage your users. So this little like kind of game that we can see here. So yeah, this was a bad one.
But the users actually go from there, which is fun, to reading the very long British articles about life in 25 cities.
I mean, yeah, the people were more like you can jump to a certain place that you are interested in. I can't find the cursor. There it is. So they were more like, okay, I go here and then they watch this and that's it. So it was not that. Some people did, of course, but it was more like they're interested in certain areas. That's why we have this kind of index here.
Were the single sections shareable as such?
In this case, no. Maybe that would have been a good idea. I'm not sure about it, but yeah, in this case, you can only share the whole application. Yeah, the full thing. And here you got a sentence that you can share.
How much time spent did you?
So this was actually really complicated to do. There are now a lot of great tools you can use. It's not that hard like 4 or 5 years ago, but it's still hard work because it's such custom thing you have to program. I'm not sure. I think it was also a 2-week project. But I mean, the journalists who visited all the cities, it was again 2 or 3 weeks. No? But only programming this was like 1.5 weeks, I think, and yeah. So this was a very big project, actually. Yeah.
This one looks great on a large screen, I imagine. Is it possible to do that on mobile as well?
Yeah, it is possible. You can then draw the border with a finger. Yeah, of course.
Did you see any difference in the users doing that on mobile versus on desktop?
No, not really. No.
The engagement was just as high on both platforms?
I'm not sure about the actual numbers in this case. No.
Do you get a goal as your team about how many of these projects you have to produce per month? Like, are you under pressure to? Because they're very beautiful, but they're also very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, you know, a lot of businesses make decisions about, do we allow a certain group of people to do prestige projects which allow a lot of in-depth, high engagement, and that's just a cost we accept?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you kind of, well, actually we need to get advertising around 50% of these or something like that? Does this come into your discussions at work, or are you kept apart from all of that?
I mean, there is no number. There's no you have to produce 2 projects every month or something like that. But of course, we want to have an output that that works for us. So, and we are also producing smaller projects. For example, we are doing a lot of sliders. So before and after sliders, for example, which works amazingly good. The best project has around, I don't know, 100K Facebook shares, and it's just a slider. And these projects work. So we are doing sliders like, I don't know, two sliders a month, and then we try to publish at least 1 project a month, but we are also doing smaller data projects that are not, that doesn't need so much effort. So yeah, it really depends. It really depends.
How involved is your team editorially in creating these things? Do you pitch your own projects, or do you, for instance, identify ideas that are pitched and say that will be a good, say, special feature?
So we don't have to pitch anything. I mean, we just we work as a team and we decide on which topic we want to work on, and then we try to come up with a concept that everyone likes in our team, and then we are just doing it. I mean, but we don't have to to tell someone or ask someone, can we do a project about cycle paths, for example. Recently we did a project about cycle paths. We thought it's an important topic in Berlin right now, so we just did it. Yeah.
Well, in this case, some reporters were sent,
Yeah.
assigned to cities, and probably there was a print.
This was a really large project, of course. Yeah.
So, of course, in that case, there must have been some kind of pitching, either by yourself or.
This was okay.
or
So
the
mhm.
I don't know.
No, sorry. This is a very special one. So this was a. So it was the 25th anniversary of the German reunification. So we had to do something, and then there was these journalists who made this print article, and then we thought, okay, we can take that content and we just adding some interaction to it and some videos and stuff like that, and that's how it works. But that was not something we.
Originally.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you rely on open data, or do you buy data, or do you make your own data?
It really depends. So we don't buy data actually, but our data journalists are always trying to get data, and mostly they have good contacts to the city itself, so they getting the data.
So it's mostly Berlin data.
Yeah, it's mostly we're a local newspaper, so we are mostly publishing Berlin-related projects.
If sliders work well, what sorts of things have you seen not work well, and have you just kind of shifted away from any certain types of projects or presentations because they don't perform well anymore?
You mean projects in general that didn't work well?
Types of visualizations, types of charts, what
Yeah.
are you moving away from?
Network graphs, for example. Everything that is very nerdy. People don't like this nerdy stuff. I mean, I love it. I like network graphs, for example. I can spend hours, but nobody wants to do it. So you really have to find simple ways or try to make it more attractive. I don't know if you've seen it, but for example, here we really try to not show a very boring chart, but it has a look and feel of a bus station plan. So on the bottom you see the bus stations. On the right you can see a little map, so that it's a bit more interesting, a bit more appealing, even if it's just a line chart. But yeah, line charts works and maps works amazingly good. Yeah. People know how to use maps. They use it almost every day to go somewhere or whatever. So maps are the best projects, I think. Yeah, and if you are interested in how we are doing this stuff, we also have a blog, and there we keep track of a lot of projects we are doing, and we share our knowledge there, and there you can get information how to make a responsive chart, for example, or an interactive map with some stuff like that. So if you're interested, you can check our blog.
Could you share some examples of what you've done that worked really well in terms of engagement times?
That really worked well in terms of
Yeah,
engagement times.
What projects have you made that kept the users on the page for the longest time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me just think about it. So this was actually a project where people stayed relatively long.
How long?
I can't mention any numbers here.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
We won't try.
No, I'm not allowed to do this.
I have a question. You mentioned earlier that you moved away from kind of hiding your
Mhm.
your charts and moved on to putting them just underneath each
Mhm.
other. Do you have any experience with large graphical elements kind of destroying scroll depth?
I don't get the question. Sorry.
When
When you have a lot of
you have kind of extensive content that is several thousand pixels long, do you experience that putting large visualizations, so like charts for instance, in between text tend to cause users to exit after viewing the element and then?
I don't know. No. I don't have any numbers of this or tests. Yeah.
At the very beginning, you were talking about scrolling and optimizing file sizes. What file sizes have you guys found to be optimal on mobile?
Yeah, so one important part is this lazy loading concept, so that you don't load every image or video at the beginning, but only when it comes in the viewport of the user. And then, I mean, you have to use JPEGs if you're working with photos, and there are good tools to optimize these, and there are around, I don't know, it depends on the size, I mean, but it's better to not having PNGs. Yeah.
But the sizes that you make, I mean, have you guys kind of found your optimal file size?
No, it really depends on the size of the image, I think, yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned before that you're not working in the old CMS that they're using.
Mhm.
So what happens? I have two questions. Like, what
Sure.
happens if somebody wants to update the text or an image, like
Mhm.
a journalist? And also,
Good question.
how do you work with like advertisement and stuff? How do you get
Yeah.
ads, or do you
So
do
yeah.
that?
So yeah, as you can see, no of these projects has advertisement. That's something we work on, but not we, but the marketing department. It's an important part, of course. We need advertisement. And if someone wants to edit the text, we are the ones who does it. So yeah, we have to do it.
So you
There is
can't-
no
or-
back end. You can log in and you can edit the text. It's not possible. No. But yeah, as you can see, all of these were own little websites. All of these projects.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
this comes back to your first thing that you're doing this out of your normal CMS.
Yeah.
But how do you actually then correlate this content with the more traditional content, which is, otherwise it's going to be lost in the future on the web, unless it's stacked together with it's structurally linked and
Mhm.
and correlated to the other content.
You mean how can you find this content on the main website, or what's the point?
Perhaps this is just a reflection of my own
No, of course, go for it.
lost pattern.
Go for it.
Of having so many different CMSs or ways or websites
Sure,
or
sure.
verticals or what we really need on the web up to the point where
Yeah.
we'll have a web is that something links to something that is not already there because it's going to be produced in the future.
Mhm.
Okay, meaning through time. Right. This is one of the main issues with producing journalistic content within a single CMS context. If you use different
Mhm.
self-standing
Yeah.
websites to
Yeah.
express yourself, which of course it's easier,
Mhm.
then you lose that kind of connection, don't you?
Sure. I mean, what we in a perfect world we would have a CMS that is so flexible that you could just do something like that, and everyone would be happy. I mean, I would love to work with a CMS. It would be great if the journalist could just go to the CMS and edit the text. It would mean less work for me. But there, as I know, there is no CMS like this. Even the guys from the New York Times have to hack around their own CMS. So yeah. Okay. So, if you have any questions, you can ask me, or we can have a chat later. That's it.
Thank you.